Welcome back to the podcast. Today we have Todd Baxley, a very interesting individual.
We'll
A
see.
very bright young soul.
What do you mean we'll see, sir?
Yeah, we'll see.
Well, I guess, yeah, we will see.
Oh, most definitely.
We're going to dive deep on you.
Hey, gentlemen,
My ladies.
and there you go.
Yeah.
Todd, tell them who you are. Tell them how old you are. Give us a little backstory on Todd.
My name's Todd Baxley. I'm 33. I was born and raised in South Texas, a little town called Rockport. Nobody's ever heard of it. It's like 10,000 people. I moved up here, Brooklyn, in 2010 after I graduated college, like a week after I graduated college. And I do production accounting in film and TV. I got into that because of my older brother, who does the same exact thing. And so it was an easy path. He's 9 years older than me, so we kind of had not a strange relationship growing up, but weren't really like close.
Right.
But since then, I could honestly say he's my best friend. So he got me into that. I've since I started at the bottom as a clerk, and now I'm a full-blown production accountant, which is a really cool job. You learn kind of the ins and outs of what it takes to make a movie, which some people think it's a camera, director and actors and some lights and stuff, and it's not. It takes the amount of people it takes to make a simple production is mind-boggling.
Right.
And you add one special effect, you add 15 people, you add one child on screen, you add another 10 people. It's astronomical what the amount of money, people, and time it takes to make a production. And then add all the money, take the money that it takes is somebody has to watch it. And the reason that you need accountants is because every state has a tax credit that needs to be followed. But I don't want to bore you with that. It's for me, it's perfect. I'm a detail oriented person.
Right.
And I just so happen to be good at adding and subtracting numbers. And a lot of people don't like to do that.
Right.
But I do.
Oh, I can tell you right now, I hate math.
Yeah, I would never survive in that area.
I mean,
No.
if the ocean was filled with math numbers, I'd be the first one to drown.
Yeah, I mean,
You wouldn't have to worry about me
Yeah, I
anymore.
couldn't add my way to the top, I'll tell you that.
Yeah. Oh, I like that.
It's one of those things where I never even saw myself doing it. Like I moved up to New York with the hopes of being on behind the camera. Like
Right.
I wanted to be a cameraman, and then I realized that you had to work. It's not that I didn't want to work on set. It's not that I couldn't work on set. It's that well, to be honest, I worked a really crappy indie movie. My first job, I lived in New York for 2 weeks. I worked a really crappy indie movie. It was the coldest winter in the past 5 winters in New York. And I was outside the whole time, and it really put me off to working on set. And then a friend of my brother's was shooting a pilot, and it was like, hey, I need an accounting clerk. And I was like, hey, I need to pay rent on my first apartment in New York City.
Yeah.
And do you want a job? And I'm like, yeah, please. And he, gave me a better rate than most clerks were making at the time, because he was a fan of my brother.
Right.
And, that was all she wrote. That was literally, 12 years ago.
Yeah.
And, now, 12 years later, I'm a production accountant. And this last job I did was my first job as a production accountant, and it was a trial by fire. It was a whole new ball game for me, after being an assistant for a long time. And I thought it was going to be a scary situation, but I had a good team behind me, and you learn new things every day, and you do things when you get home from work and on the weekends to stay sane.
Yeah.
Yeah. And one of those things for me the past year or so was diving into hobbies that I didn't have necessarily the past, couple years, because I was trying to make my way to that, position. And one of those hobbies, as you can see, is guitars.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, now
Yeah.
you know we're a fan of the music. Now, how did this music change the course? How was this for you as a release?
I mean, it's one of those things where like I definitely I've had a guitar in my possession for at least since I was at least 10 years old. I definitely, but I never really gave it much time. Like I could play a couple scales here and there. I could, but like it's just I never just did it. I had one in college, and but I was also just it was college. I was doing other things. I was going to class, you know, going to class, or
Yeah, going to class. Yeah, I
Yeah.
like that.
I was always going to
Yeah.
class.
Yeah. Well, for me, it was for me. I graduated a semester early, so I kind of was going to class, but I was also like going to class.
Yeah. I think we were all at one point going to class.
yeah.
Air quotes. I love the air quotes.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I definitely I just didn't give it the time of day. And I've had some things in the past, couple years that have really pushed me towards finding hobbies. And besides work and finding, a creative release. And yeah, it's just as a release, it not only guitars, it's also just learning about the history behind the guitar. I'm a detail oriented person. When I do something, I like to learn everything about it. I'm a huge trivia buff. I love to sit and watch Jeopardy, play along with it. Like my brother
See,
and I.
see, wait, hold on. Now, see, you like Jeopardy. Okay. Now, you're the dude. Okay, we're at a bar. We're having a great time. You're the guy that ruins the bullshit hour. I like to shoot the shit with my friends and say, "Oh no, Shark has like 82 ribs and he can, look at his butt." You be the guy to go, "No, that's not correct. The shark only has 62 ribs, and it is physically impossible for him to look at his butt." You're that guy, aren't you?
Pretty sure a shark is all cartilage.
Oh, see,
Well, you
there
see
you go.
So the madness starts now.
Yeah, we're not going to bullshit with Todd.
Yeah.
No, here's the thing though. I'm also a bullshitter because the smartphone ruined the bullshit hour.
Yeah,
Yes,
it
it
did.
did.
Don't blame it on me. Like you're putting the cart before the horse. Like,
Yeah.
But no, I mean, bar trivia. Was what is probably one of my favorite pastimes.
Right.
There was a point in time where me and a group of friends would meet every Tuesday at a bar in Astoria, Queens, and we would do trivia. And for a 2-month period of time, we won 8 weeks in a row. And that I don't want to say it was my proudest achievement, but it's like up there.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like my brother and I and my sister-in-law, like we have like a rating, like a scoring system for Jeopardy that we keep track of when we're watching together. I hate to say it, but I always win.
Yeah.
Like it's
Of course
trivia
you
is my-
do.
Yeah.
I mean, you're
Yeah.
not modest at all, are you, Todd? Of
when it
course
comes-
you
when it-
always win.
When it comes to trivia, no.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
Brutal.
He's the shark in water. He's the
Yeah.
shark in water.
Yeah.
He smells
Yeah.
blood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything else, I try to be as modest as possible.
Yeah.
But when it comes to I'm not good at a lot of things. But the things that I'm good at, I like to remind people that I like to put people in their place. I guess.
Yeah, that's good competition. You got a competition spirit right there.
Yeah.
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 Well,
Yeah.
and then you couple that with being a boss, right? And you have people under you. You seem like the boss that is just like totally, hey, I've been there, I know what it's like, and who has humbled his ego and just, work well with people.
Yeah.
Well, if there's one thing that I learned about being a boss the past 8 months is that you're nothing without a good team.
Oh,
Like-
Right.
definitely.
I can't as try as I might, I will never be able to do like everything all on my own. Even being a first assistant accountant,
Right.
one of the things that my last boss had to tell me, he sit down and tell me a couple times, is like, you have to delegate. like you have to delegate some stuff because you're going to go crazy if not. And that's when I knew that I was ready to like be a production accountant. Was like being able to sit here and be like, okay, you're going to have to pass off some stuff or else nothing's going to get done because you're going to try to do everything. And so even on this job, there was a couple times I'm like, okay, you have to get something done. You're gonna have to get this other thing to one of your second assistants or your first assistants, and I did, or your payroll accountant or your payroll assistant. You know, give it to somebody else, it'll get done.
Right.
And thankfully, as we continue to work on it, it's like great.
Right.
You know, things are getting done, and I'm not doing them. Somebody else is doing them. Yeah. But back to what I was saying about the music. Like learning everything you can about a certain subject for me has always been like just the best. So guitars has turned into learning about music, like about guitar pedals. Guitar pedals has turned about learning about small signal electronics
Right.
and learning about transistors, resistors, you know, what goes into it, and you know, just becoming the biggest nerd possible.
Yeah.
Right.
And bothering my wife about telling her, hey, come listen to this, come listen to this.
Right.
I do the same
I do the
thing.
same thing, and no one likes to nerd out more but your own self when it comes to the counterpart. My wife is like, "That's great, but I'm really not into it. But good for you, buddy." You know, so
Well, thankfully, my wife is a little bit of a nerd, so like if I find a really cool sound, I'll be
Yeah.
like, "Hey, listen to this." Like
Yeah.
I put one of my pedals on stereo,
Yeah.
and I have 2 amps, and I put it on ping pong mode.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
And she was like,
It's all over the
Yeah.
place. Yeah.
She's like, "What is going on?" I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah. So
Tell me about your pedal club. I hear you got a pedal club.
it's, it's 2 people.
yeah. That's a
No.
hell of a club there, Todd.
No, I have a good friend. His name is Brian. He's I call him my spiritual advisor. He's become. I met him through the trivia team that I spoke of a couple minutes ago, and he's actually the gentleman who married my wife and I a couple years ago. He was the officiant at our wedding. All around good dude. He is. I started. He's been the lead singer and guitarist for an Irish band, the Rogue Diplomats. They're a good group of guys, and one lady, and he's played guitar. He's an exceptional guitar player, but he's not really ever played electric guitar. And so when I started getting into the pedals, I was like, hey man, like, hey, you should probably get an electric. I'm about to get another electric. Do you want to have my Telecaster? Maybe,
Whoa. You just give somebody he must be a really good friend if you're
Yeah.
handing
No,
off your
I
telly.
mean, like I see the guy like at least once every couple of months. It's not like I'm gonna like give it to him and not expect it back.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Does he know that?
Oh, yeah. Well, no, there will be a rule. There will be a rules attached. There will be a signed contract in hand.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
But he's like, well, actually, he ended up getting one from another like a family member of his, but he has all this other equipment from when they play live shows on his acoustic. So he has a setup kind of like you guys. He has like a 12-track switcher and like monitors and stuff that they use for their live shows for the Irish band. All he needed really was the guitar, and so I finally got him into pedals, and now our Instagram store, like our Instagram chat back and forth, is just pedals this, pedals that. I ended up buying him his first like pedal, which is a JHS color box, which is perfect for acoustic. So I got it for him before he even had the electric.
Right.
And so that's our 2-person pedal club, and all you need is 2 guys for a club, or 2 people for a club.
Right. Yeah.
And the amount of content that you can find on Instagram, anything right now, it's enough to sustain a 2-person club.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
Can you give us a shot of the pedals
Yeah,
and
man.
The guitars?
Can I?
Yeah.
Can I? He was waiting for you to ask that question, sir.
I'm so happy
Yeah.
that you asked.
Yeah.
Yeah. Show the subscribers what you're dealing with. Oh,
There
yeah.
you
There
go.
we go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can do a quick run through. Can I? Or
Yeah.
is that-
Yeah,
Sure.
man.
I'll go from, I don't want to point with my foot because I have socks on. But I'll go from top right with the blue, starting with the blue.
Right.
Sorry, my top left. So actually let me find a pointer real quick.
Did you just say you have a laser pointer?
No, I know. Actually, I do have one for my cat, but I'm just going to use a pin.
It's well thought out, sir.
Here, you know what? I'm just gonna use I'll use my foot because it's
Yeah,
already on there.
it's all good.
All right, so this is this one right here
Right.
is just like this is a JHS Unicorn. This is like it emulates like a rotary sound like you would hear on Pink Floyd. Let's see, what is that? Like a Pink Floyd sound. You would hear it on. I can't think of the song right now. I'll come back to it.
Okay.
This is just a reverb pedal. It has 3 settings: spring, plate, and hull. This is my newest purchase. This is a delay pedal. It is a TC Electronic Nova delay. It's about 10 years old, but it's, TC Electronic is known for their absolutely crazy delay pedals. It is it's completely programmable. It's quarter, dotted eighths, quarter notes. You can do you can plug it in stereo. It's pretty awesome. The other one, this one right here is it's a shimmer. It's shimmer was invented.
Yeah.
Yep.
Invented by Brian Eno in the 80s. And it makes you sound like you are having some crazy cosmic experience.
Yep.
Yes.
Oh,
I love a good shimmer.
I love a
pedal.
great shimmer. Yep.
Yeah, this is my wife's favorite pedal. I'll turn this one on and not tell her that it's going on, and she'll just be like making dinner and then some shimmer will come on. This is a 10 years pedal. This is a special Halloween edition that I got.
Right.
This is one of 85. Not trying to sound like bougie, but it is. This is an amp in a box that's supposed to emulate a PV Decade.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
Yeah, so it's made famous by, well, Josh Homme from Queens of the Stone Age is known for the PV Decade being his sound, and it's great. It sounds like a PV Decade. This is the Madison Cunningham signature pedal from JHS. It's trippy. I played my Telecaster. I tuned my Telecaster a step down, and it's a dual channel tremolo.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. The one on the far right is it is the Rush Pep Box. So the original Pep Box came out in the 60s, and it was made. The Beatles. It was kind of came out at the same time as the Maestro Fuzz Tone, and it was made by I can't remember. Yeah, by Rush, not the band Rush, but the guy's last name was Rush.
Oh, okay.
But it wasn't really well known. It didn't get as much traction as the other fuzz pedals, like the Fuzz Tone and everything else. But recently, his daughter Lucy Rush has started recreating this. So this is the Pep Box 2.0. This is serial number 7. I got it sent to me over Christmas break. This is an envelope filter. This is and this is a tube streamer. This is a Rat. This is a distortion pedal. This is it's been around since 1979. This is Blessed Mother. This one right here, this black one, is actually from a pedal builder in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. His name is Wyatt Abratinsky. He's kind of up and coming. I met him through my buddy Donnelly, Brian, who was talking about earlier. It's basically a germanium boost. It sounds great. You turn it on with any other pedal. This is a compressor, but this is a special edition because it has a cat on it. It's called a compressor.
The hell?
Which I love. Yeah, it's. I have a cat that I love with all my heart, so I got it for him.
Right.
This is a flanger chorus. This is my only vintage pedal. This is made in 1982. This is a phaser, and this is the new Boss Slicer. That is probably, I've been playing that a lot lately.
Yeah.
And it's kind of unexplainable
Right.
without playing it. Maybe I can get into that a little bit later. You guys can put it on some like backbeats or something for the show. But
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't want to get into playing it right now. But it
Yeah.
it has 88 different it has 88 how does the best way to say it, 88 different variables of being able to play um I don't know, slices of you play one thing and it takes it in a different direction.
Oh,
Like,
Oh,
okay.
okay.
Yeah.
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 I mean, that is a pretty good chain of pedals you
Yeah,
got
that's a
there.
good
And
setup.
I have more in the closet.
Well, I'm
Oh,
sure
I-
you do. If you're in a club, I'm sure you do. Now,
Yeah.
for the subscribers that are watching this, for those of you that are into music, this probably made your day. For those of you that are not into music, well, hey, we're nerding out right now, and bear with us.
Yeah. Yeah. But music is a big part of the soul.
It is.
Yeah.
And I was in love
Yeah.
with that little lecture, with that session.
Thanks for letting me do that.
Yeah,
Oh,
man.
no problems, man. We enjoy it.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. What was it like growing up? What'd you say, in Rockport, Texas?
Yeah, Rockport, Texas.
Yeah. What was your childhood like?
So I loved it. Rockport is on the coast. The closest big city is Corpus Christi, where Selena is from. That was like, that was our biggest like claim to fame. Um, the tagline for Rockport is, it's a sleepy little drinking town with a fishing problem. And so yeah, I was born and raised there. It's all with the exception of like 2 years where my family had to move to a suburb of Houston, but we quickly moved back. It was, I mean, small town vibes, man. I definitely, you know, everybody knew everybody. I having an older brother that also grew up there made things, I don't want to say easier for me, but you know, it was, what's the word I want to look for? I didn't mind it at all.
Right.
It's funny because when I was in high school, there were teachers there that went to high school with my brother. So they were like, and I used to like, they used to come over to our house to like party with my brother. Like
Mhm.
I'd seen some of those people like drunk and doing stupid shit.
Yeah.
Like, can I cuss?
Yeah.
Cuss.
Yeah,
Okay.
you're
Yeah,
fine.
you get
Okay, cool. Hey, cool. Yeah, so like it's yeah, but I mean all the people that like my brother grew up with, are friends, I'm friends with now. Like it's like I grew up with a bunch of older brothers, even though I have one. You know, yeah, I loved it. Those 2 years that I was in Houston with, as a pre-adolescent, I hated it. I just wanted to go back. I wanted to go back to to Rockport.
Right.
I missed it. Being, it. People were like, "Oh, how the hell did you end up in New York, being from a small town?" I'm like, honestly, I don't know. Like, I guess the 18 years there was enough, but like, it's. I think that me being there, I was, I was a good student. I kept my head down. I did the work I needed to in school. I didn't make any trouble for myself. I had a good group of friends. Spent a lot of time on the beach. Spent a lot of time. I didn't get into trouble. You know, it just, it was either football. I played a lot of football. I'm 6'1". I'm in high school. I was 6'1", 280 pounds, and I was the smallest guy in the offensive line.
Wow.
You can imagine that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
I
Texas
mean,
Texas is all about those Friday night lights.
Yeah.
yeah.
You got a
I
lot
mean,
of ball players in Texas.
And I was not even close to being a starting football player.
Right.
Yeah.
That's, and this is not going to come to us as any surprise to you, but I was on the trivia team in high school.
No, you don't say. Go on.
Yeah, I mean, it was the perfect, I guess, small town experience. And my wife is from a smaller town on Long Island, and when I hear her talk about her like small town experience, it's the same, but it's different.
Right.
It's everybody has their own small town experience. I
Yeah.
think, my parents split up after when I was 13, after we made that move to Houston, but ended up my dad came back to Rockport even still, and so like I still couldn't get away with shit. I still had both parents in the small town.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
My parents trusted me enough to, they trusted my friends. I still talk to my best friends back home, or some of them still live there, and some of them don't. It's great. I'll get people in from, like, a friend of mine last night actually texted me saying, "Hey, I just got done talking to somebody, like a vendor at work, who said he does a lot of fishing in Rockport." And I haven't been back actually in about 5 years.
Right.
So I'm kind of itching to go back.
Yeah.
When I go to Texas now, I go to the outside the Austin, San Antonio area, because that's where my dad lives now. But apparently Rockport's grown a lot. So I kind of want to just keep it in that snapshot of my mind how it was when I grew up.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I get that. You
So-
don't want to taint that.
So, what are some of the? Let's change this up a little bit. What are some of the hurdles you had to kind of jump over in life that got you to where you are now?
That's a good question. I'd say over the past couple of years, well, starting with, like, I just mentioned that, like, 5 years ago was the last time I was in my hometown. About 5 years ago, my mom passed away. And not soon after that, this is gonna get a little darker. Not soon after that, my therapist at that time passed away from the same disease that my mom passed away from.
Okay.
And then and then a couple more things happened. I won't go too deep, but I soon after that delved into a really bad. I'd already had a drinking problem before that. I was a hard partier, as you can say. I was already, heavy into drug use, cocaine use, before that, and but I wouldn't say addicted. Just, risky behavior is the term they use at treatment.
Right.
Risky use is what they use. But as far as like drinking was concerned, I'm a big guy. It's always taken a lot more for me to get drunk than it did other people around me. But I would always use that as a way to, like, I just need to drink more. So after my mom passed, and everything kind of happened, I spent about 2.5 years really digging my heels into my addiction and my alcoholism.
Right.
But for the past almost 2 years, March 14th of this year, so about 2 months from now, I'll be celebrating 2 years of sobriety.
Oh, congrats. Congrats. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I will say though, like, as far as having to overcome something, easily, like, the 2.5 years that followed, I was already having some issues before my mom passed away. I'm not going to sit here and try to blame it all on one incident,
Right.
or my therapist, whatever. But like, those two incidents together definitely did not help the matters at hand. I was already having some issues. You could ask anybody. I was having some drink. Like, I was a heavy drinker.
What got you into the issues in the first place? What was so
What was going on before
yeah,
your mom passed?
That's a question that, like, I still kind of like handle at therapy. That's one of those things where, like, the drinking, like, I was just the fact that I was like, that's where I don't say I was into full blown alcoholism yet. I was just a heavy drinker. That, like, and like, I don't want to attach like a problem to it.
Mm-hmm.
That was just me, like, heavily binge drinking. Anytime that I was drinking, I was drinking a lot,
Right.
or I was just drinking, like, if I would have a 6-pack in the fridge of high ABV beer, and it would be like I would with the intention of saving it, like putting it all, like having it over the week, and it'd be gone in a night.
Now, did
But
it make you a angry person, or did it just make you like one of those happy drunks, or was it just like taking you for a spin, like you didn't know who you were or what you were doing?
to be honest, you would have to ask somebody else that isn't me. I would my drink of choice was tequila, mezcal, and beer.
Okay.
And I know that certain times I would get like, I honestly don't know how to answer that question because I can't really place a time. There were certain times where at when I was just drinking most of the time, it was a happy drunk. I was drunk a lot of the time. I was partying a lot. So I was with friends, but I was partying a lot. Like and then after like, then the tipping point for me, I like to say the tipping point when my mom passed is when the downhill started.
Okay.
I had a summer of traveling with my wife. My brother went to a bachelor party, went to a wedding in Brazil, and I thought it was going to clear my head of all this stuff, and it really did not help. And that's when, and then I got back to New York, started working again, and then kind of just dealt with a lot of, you know, pent up emotions, and that just kind of it spiraled. Yeah. So
So how did your brother take the loss of your mother? Was it
uh,
way different from yours?
yeah, I mean, my brother and I, best friends, two completely different people. Um, I'll say it like this: my brother would never agree to do something like this.
Right.
He's a lovely soul. He's a good guy. I love him with all my heart. And there's no but to that. He just wouldn't he wouldn't do this. I think we both bring out a certain side of each other. My wife and I were talking about this the other night. Um, but he's different. We're different people. Um, he's very compartmentalized, and I'm not. And at a certain point, I think that me diving deeper into my addiction issues, my drug problem, was me trying to achieve compartmentalization and failing miserably.
Right.
And then, you know, him, he dealt with it his own way. He at the time had, was married. He's been married to the same woman since 2005. They've been together since I was 7 years old. I'm now 33. They were high school sweethearts. So they've been, he had a child. So he had a different support system. I had a support system, but also like it's just we were in different situations. Um, yeah, I mean he dealt with it, and we're the short answer to your question is he dealt with it differently than I did. There was sadness had by all. Um, I don't want to speak to I can't speak to his inner workings. I can only speak to what I know, and is that he clearly did something different than I did, and you know, we're ended up in the same place now. We're both still working through it. Obviously, it just took me. I just went to laugh it off a little bit. I went a way different route than he did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I am. You can ask anybody that that's around me now.
I mean,
I'm
kudos to your wife. She saw this path you were on, and she didn't take the easy road of just saying, "I'm not dealing with this."
Yeah.
She literally stayed with you and tried to keep you grounded.
yeah. I mean, there's yeah. Um, I count my blessings every day on that regard. There was a time and a place where that wasn't like where we weren't going to be together anymore.
Right.
And then um, and that changed. Um, I went to treatment
Mm-hmm.
for about 4 months, 3.5 months, and then I came back. Thankfully, we have a 2-bedroom apartment that we're in. This is now the music room, but we have a like a bed thing in here that turns out into a bed, and she let me stay in here, and um, thankfully she did, and she saw the program I was working, and it took a while, but she let me back into her life in a certain way, you know, and
Do you think anything spiritually, like a spiritual awakening, was taking place at that point?
oh, I mean, without a doubt. I mean, I can pinpoint it. I can uh, I can pinpoint exactly when a spiritual awakening happened for me. Um, so um, my treatment involved getting my brother drove me to rural Pennsylvania, um, and so because I was not going to go to rehab in the city, I'm not going to go to rehab in the place where I know that where the building is around me. I needed trees, I needed fresh air, um, and so I was there, and for about there's residential rehab where you're literally in this place, can't really leave the grounds, and then there's like outpatient rehab where you're in a house. It's kind of like a quarter way house where like you're there, can't really go anywhere else, but they drive you to like meetings every night. But when I was in residential rehab, um, you know, that's where people, that's where you first go when you get there. And um, man, sorry, I get a little choked up at this.
No, and
Oh,
that's
yeah.
cool here because you're in
A vulnerable spot, my
in
friend.
a
Yeah.
place where people are loving you right now. So you take your time.
So you know, there's a lot to be said about a group of addicts and alcoholics and um, and even the people that work in these places, people that are surrounded by addicts and alcoholics that strive for their happiness. These people that work, you think that these are like you know, hard-edged people that work there, but they're not. They're there for the well-being of these addicts and alcoholics. Um, so I said all that to say this, like my spiritual awakening slash experience happened. I knew that there was something much bigger than myself going on, something, a higher power, if you will, when, you know, I am sitting there and I was having a cigarette, and it was time of the day where everybody was outside having a cigarette. And, talking 25 to 30 addicts and alcoholics and employees all sitting around, these people are in the throes of getting rid and denying their alcoholism and their addiction the power over them. One of the hardest things to do, I'm speaking from experience, like literally sitting there on the daily trying to deny one of the strongest feelings that your body can present to you, saying, get away from me. And these people are literally bonding, laughing, happy crying, and sharing joyous moments with one another. All 30 of them, 25 to 30 of them, just everybody's present, everybody is with each other having a moment and at the same time. And I'm one of those people, and I'm just looking around and it's happening all together at the same time. Like everybody's laughing. I don't know if somebody told the same joke to all 30 people
Right.
or whatever. Yeah. Like it's like we all heard, it felt like we all heard the same cosmic joke. Like,
Right.
or we all heard everything's gonna be all right. I don't know. Like unfortunately, it's not like summer camp where, it's kind of like summer camp where you go and you stay with the same people for a couple days, but it's not like summer camp where you exchange numbers, but I haven't kept up with everybody that was there.
Right.
I've kept up with some people because after that I went to outpatient. I went to that other treatment place. But as far as the residential rehab was concerned, at that moment I knew that there was a power greater than myself.
Right.
that was at play. And that's when I kind of knew that if I can just get through the next couple of months in this area, in this treatment area, then I think I'll be okay. I think that I think that I can pretty much guarantee myself that if I can just keep my head on straight and, you know, you know, at that point, I wasn't really fiending for a drink, wasn't really fiending for my drug of choice. At that point, I was just fiending for the fact that like I do want to get out of here. I do want to go back to my normal life, but I want to go back to my normal life when I can handle it. And that
Right.
means being able to go back to work and handle stress differently,
Mm-hmm.
being able to go back to work and handle like being able to go back to life and handle the fact that I might be a single man again, you know, and that was a thing, you know, that might have been a thing, but you know, I had to be ready to do that. I had to be ready for all, and I wasn't ready at that point, but I knew that at that point everything might be okay.
Now, were you
You know,
religious or spiritual before this?
you know, I don't know everything.
Right.
I don't claim to know everything. I grew up I grew up in Texas, so there's a little bit of, you know, that take that with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
I the church I grew up in uh, was was so Baptist that it got kicked out of the Southern Baptist Convention.
Wow. That's like hardcore Baptist.
Yeah, man. But they were non-denominational.
Yeah.
Um, but I love telling that story. That's not really a story. It's just that's it.
That's
Yeah,
it.
that's a fact right
Yeah.
there.
But I didn't really church for me. My mom, you know, my mom was a God-fearing woman. My dad, you know, is a spiritual man, but like not, you know, like it's not a church-going man. Um, I don't know everything. I don't know everything that's out there. I like to think that there, you know, is something, but my higher power is based somewhere in the universe, but it also resides in the fact that I surround myself with good people.
Right.
And if I feel that if I feel that somebody, you know, is, you know, not of that, like if it's not a good person, then it's like it's not my what's
Intent.
it's not up to me
Oh, okay.
to make them a good person.
Yeah.
You know, but like yeah, my higher power, my spirituality is based around the people I surround myself with, and that I think that shows in that experience that I had. You know, yeah.
Yeah, it's like our spiritual family. It's only until we put those again those fictitious blockers are up that we like to keep ourselves in. Oh, this person is that. This person is that. And you remove all those blockers. We're all connected, trying to find our way, and
Right.
we use ourselves for support. So I think that's a great thing.
Yeah.
And I do believe whatever you believe in is right as well.
Yeah. Yeah. But but just having this conversation, this is why we like to do this. It just shows like everybody has something they're dealing with,
Yeah.
no matter who you are, what color you are,
What walk of life?
how much money you make. There's something you're fighting every day.
Yeah.
Even if you think you got its butt whooped, you're still fighting it.
Yeah. You're still fighting it off. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things that they teach you, or that they try to instill in you at during your recovery at treatment is, you know, you should, you know, as long as you should always make sure your side of the street is clean. Don't worry about anybody else's side of the street. Like if you think that you made somebody mad, and you say, and you're sorry, and you apologize, and you make amends for what you said, but they're still mad, it doesn't matter. As long as your side of the street is clean. Like
Right.
you can only do what's in your power, and you can't lose sleep over what somebody else is feeling.
Right.
You know, so like you said, these blockers, like you can't, if somebody has blockers up, if somebody wants to put blockers up because of some way that you feel or that you believe, man, they're the ones missing out.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
that's their loss, and that's how I gotta look. Some people just don't like other people, and
Right.
that's and
It's okay.
that's their problem.
Yeah, that's their
Right.
problem. It's
Yeah.
it's where they
Yeah.
are at that moment, and
Yeah.
that, and even that's okay, because who are we to judge them for being that type of person?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
I was always under the impression if you don't like something about somebody, then you should check yourself.
Yeah.
What about you
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
doesn't like that person for being who they really are?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, your side of the street. What's
Right.
what's going on with you? Do an
Right.
inventory on yourself.
Right.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. Now I'm starting to ask this question a lot from guests because I like these type of questions. And
That's a good reason to ask.
Yeah.
we haven't released this podcast yet. Marilyn, you need to release this podcast if I'm going to keep going on this. But if you are in control of the entire world,
Here we go. Here we go.
okay?
Entertain him. You're gonna have to at some point. I do it every day.
So for me, myself, I said there would be an annual holiday called Truth Day, which would be on January 1st, right? And we just went on a rant about what could occur on Truth Day. But what would you implement, or what's the one thing you would try to change about this world if you were in control for 1 year?
There we go.
It doesn't have to be one thing.
Yeah.
I mean, do you say, okay, there's no more flagellants in public?
Now hold on. Wait a minute. What if you
Like-
you can't hold that all day?
Sure you can.
No, you
No
can't.
more no more loud flatulence in public.
Okay.
How are you supposed to control?
I would
your
put up-
sphincter,
I would
sir?
put up meth.
That's not my rule. I'm just clarifying.
Yeah.
But
Well,
I would put up methane detectors all over the place for
Okay, number one, let's not entertain no more of his ideas.
Okay.
Okay, but I have a question about his Truth Day though.
Yeah.
Is yours like is Truth Day like a purge type situation, but
No.
with words?
Okay,
is.
yeah, it's
Like-
with
Yeah,
words.
yeah,
Yeah,
it is.
Yeah, and you
Yeah.
know
Like
it's
a-
gonna
like a-
mess somebody's mind up
Yeah.
mentally.
Like a word purge. You can just find it and be like, your hair is terrible. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
You hit it
yeah,
right there.
yeah.
But look, okay, so everyone participates.
Yeah, you
Todd.
have to. And
Everyone.
and then my
Okay.
role as a normal police officer would be switched that day to the truth police.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So
Yes.
you have to obey by it. Somebody can call you in.
I wouldn't imprison somebody,
No, but
it would be public shaming.
Yeah.
We wouldn't
But
throw rocks at you. We'd probably throw moldy bread at you. And boo!
Well, I mean, some people are definitely allergic to mold.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
true.
So that probably, okay. We would throw,
Why don't you take away that person's toilet paper or something for the next week?
Oh yeah, that'd be
ooh,
yeah.
okay. Yeah.
Well,
I mean, wait, some people don't know how to operate without toilet paper. You see what happened with the pandemic.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean,
We just
that's-
forgot we had showers at one point.
You know what that sounds like?
Huh.
Yeah.
My fucking problem.
Oh, so what would you do, man? What tell me what goes on in your mind?
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
Yeah, ponder that
Yes,
one.
sir.
That's a good one.
This should be like this should be a prerequisite question that you should let your guests know.
Yeah, yeah. Oh.
Yeah, I like to just do the sneak attacks all the time.
Let's see. One day, I would say that.
These are the responses my brother and I look for,
Yes,
just
we do.
so you guys know. It's real
Yeah,
life right there.
I think mine would have to be based somewhere in. I think that elected officials would have to spend time in neighborhoods that they govern over.
Ooh,
I like
like-
that.
okay.
If they're gonna make laws that affect neighborhoods, and it goes down to the municipal level too. Like if the state senator is gonna affect something about like a project here in Brooklyn, like he's gonna have to spend he's actually gonna have to spend a week in that project.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like, or like, you know, if a senator or a congressman for a district in like California is gonna do something that affects like how they grow crops or you know whatever in California, then he's gonna have to go. I think that I know it's outlandish, but not outlandish, but I know it's in inactable,
Hmm.
non actable. But like I think that government officials or I think world leaders should have to spend time in the countries where they're affecting rules, where they're affecting
Ooh,
rules. Yeah,
Yeah, you cold-blooded.
yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
so where do they take up residency in Brooklyn? Where does this center go? Like, do you put him like
The
in
motel,
the bricks?
like
I don't
the
think
Motel
I don't
8.
think I'm cold blooded. I think they're cold blooded.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
They're making laws that affect people.
Yeah.
No,
it's
No,
an
but I
expression.
just meant like
Yeah.
you know, you
That's
you
a
know,
good one. That's right
you
on.
nasty
like-
with
Yeah.
it.
Like I mean, like well, you said where are they taking up residence? I mean, like, yeah, I guarantee you that I guarantee you if there's a project and there will be at least somebody opening up their couch to the senator.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like there's a show right now on Netflix called The Circle,
Right.
and it's the social media show thing. It's a competition. But this girl from Brooklyn just won, and she won $100,000. And the first thing she's having to do is use it to get her grandma out of the 13th floor of her project.
See, that's just not right.
But no, but get this, because the elevator's broken on it,
Oh man.
and her grandma has to walk up, and and this might be good. It might be good TV.
Right.
They might be embellishing. I don't know, but like at the same time, that story might be one of a
Billion. Yeah.
one of a million stories.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just, but like I would make it so that a city council member would have to like at least live one day in this project to see like how it actually is to live there.
Right.
So
Right.
they could, so maybe these rules would go into effect quicker.
Right.
Maybe bureaucracy would not move at such a glacial pace.
And that's the huge disconnect is you don't know the situation of others because you live in this high status part of your life. There's a big disconnect. And we're not saying give the woman $1 million, but we are saying look at their necessities. They don't even have a working elevator.
Right.
Like, you mean the state can't take care of things like that? Like, why is this huge disconnect? Yeah, that would be a good one.
I mean, you and I, the three of us are having this conversation at the speed of light, but bureaucracy literally can't still moves at the pace of snail mail. Like we're
Right.
talking the fact that it takes the amount of the red tape that is still binding laws these days. Is insane.
Does that ever puzzle you that, like you said, the three of us can have this conversation and in our minds, the problem is solved, but because, people that, legislator and all the people that make the rules,
Special interest.
they have all this money and all these different egos. They can't, it's impossible for them to sit down and have this kind of conversation.
It blows my mind, and then it doesn't. Like as somebody, I majored in mass communication and I minored in political science, and I haven't used it a day since.
Right.
But as somebody who, with the basest of knowledge of the inner workings of the political system, like I'm talking the basest of knowledge. I'm not sitting here trying to like tote my my resume or my CV. I'm saying all of that to say that like in a perfect world, there should be, we live in a democratic republic where these lawmakers are elected by us to govern by what they think we want.
Right.
We have been given platforms of like the 24-hour news cycle, which in effect should be used as our vocal platforms. The news is supposed to be the watchdog of the people. It's
right.
not.
It's not.
Right.
Like it's turned into a circus. When one thing is bastardized, the whole system is bastardized.
Yeah.
Right.
Granted, I'm not saying that every politician is a piece of shit.
Right.
I'm not saying that every senator is a piece of shit. I'm not saying that every city council member is a piece of shit. But I'm just saying, like, there's when the majority when all we're seeing is the loud majority or the loud minority
Right.
of people, and not the silent majority, it's a really easy mindset to have that, like, wow, this whole thing is broken.
Yeah.
Right.
Granted, there are laws passed every day that are affecting things like we use every day, like, you know, cafe standards for gas usage, like stuff, farm use, farm subsidy laws that, that don't affect me, that might affect you guys being in Indiana, or,
Right.
like, or farmers, stuff that affects the Midwest that will never affect the East Coast or the West Coast. But like stuff like that passes every day, but we only hear about the massive failures because that's all they want us to hear about.
Exactly.
Because it's all about the party state. It's all about the party politics. It's bullshit.
Right.
I mean, when all you hear about is the failures, it's all that it's what you're going to think about all the time. But there's things passed every day that, you know, if you go on like congress.gov, you'll see the things that they pass.
Right.
Or the stuff that they tack on to like the big bills. That's like, or the reason that they don't pass the big bills is because of the tiny stuff they tack on.
Yeah.
Right.
And they bank on you not looking at that stuff because they love to put the distractions of like everything, like you said, it's just a big disaster. Everything is always negative, negative,
Right.
negative. And they,
Yeah.
the burger people.
They meaning the Illuminati, right?
Well, that's the thing with they. No one knows who they are,
yeah,
but
yeah.
It's the lizard people.
The lizard people.
Yeah. And here's where I am with it. And I know it's not lizard people per se. Well, I don't really know. It could be. But
You better watch out. They're
yeah,
gonna get you.
yeah. Here's where I am. I stopped blaming people, or no, I stopped blaming the 10% that are in control of the U.S., and my finger is at us. We, the people, are letting this happen to us. And until we wake up, because we are the majority, I don't like to use the word minority, or I don't want to separate us. We're getting separation every day in our life to further disconnect from each other. Once we, the people, wake up from this spell, then we can physically change it all. But we really can't point fingers because we're sitting by letting all of this happen.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a joint effort.
It's a joint effort.
Yeah. But I think that just goes back to, it's just not enough. People are stuck in their comfortable day in, day out life.
Right. They just don't care.
It's not that they don't care, but it's easier. No one wants to leave their job and forfeit this or that because we have built these comforts for ourselves.
Well, we shouldn't have to, though.
Yeah, we
Right.
shouldn't. Our voices should be enough, but like he was saying, until we get that mass awakening, I don't know what that may look like.
Let me ask you this. Here's another deep diver.
Well, but hold on, before you ask me that though, hold on. Remember your question.
Yeah, I got it. Don't worry about it.
But you say mass awakening though.
Right.
Like, how do you propose? How is it that you propose that this change happen?
Okay, so that's part of that would be that second question I was going to ask, would be, how do we get the world to behave as ants in a colony? How do we become one and be a better planet?
Yeah.
That will fall under the same category.
So
I mean, if the three of us could answer that question, we would be headed to Geneva for a Nobel Peace Prize.
Right. And only thing we can do is just throw out a bunch of speculation, not speculation, but a bunch of thoughts and ideas on how it would possibly, like, will it take some big major leak on the congressional floor that they didn't know they were recording it, and they were all talking about how they're screwing over the American people, how we're getting rich. We just got to keep doing this to keep mind numbing them and brainwashing them. Would it take something like that to wake us up? Would it take a UFO event over every metropolis to
Would it
wake
take
us up.
an asteroid coming to Earth?
Yeah.
I don't know how big the impact must be, but I'll tell you this. I would think if we're going to change the globe, it would have to start with Westernism.
Really?
Everybody
Like,
wants to be Westernized, believe it or not.
well, okay.
Where do you not see it, Todd? That's what I want to know.
I mean, we're talking about getting geopolitical here. I don't want to speak to something that I'm not an expert on.
Right. These are all
Yeah,
hypothetical.
these are
all
I
yeah.
know, but I mean, this is going to be eventually be on the internet forever.
Right.
So at the risk of sounding I don't want to speak out of my depth here, but they definitely don't want to be Westernized in the Far East.
Right.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
I mean, Japan and China are definitely not seeking to be Westernized.
Well, the people aren't. I agree with that.
They
But
got
it's
cell phones. They got American clothes, blue jeans, and
it's
rock and roll.
Right.
I mean,
but they make all the parts for that.
Well,
correct.
True. That's true.
They have their own system of government. They have their own system of hierarchy and bureaucracy. There's no. It stops at the Russian border. I get what you're saying, interesting thing. My mom and my dad, they met in Tehran in the 70s.
Right.
My dad's dad was in the military. My mom's dad was in the oil field. So they were at an American school in Iran when it was still Westernized before the Shah fell in '79. So they were over there when it was completely Westernized.
Right.
And of course, the Shah fell in the late '70s.
Yep.
And I've seen pictures of them over there, and it was a completely Western. Women in pencil skirts and men, with long hair and mustaches, and of course, Shah fell is completely different. And it's been like that ever since.
Right.
And that is a religious pushing away of Westernization.
Okay.
And so a lot of the Islamic based Islamic following countries don't want to be Westernized on a religious basis.
Yeah.
I understandably, there's a bit of Westernization includes, I guess, I think what you mean by I don't assume to define what you mean, but I think that you mean a democratic form of life, a way of life. Is that what you mean by?
Yeah.
Well, that, and we found the means of peace with ourselves, and it's going to be more infectious if Western society found a way to cope with itself and get over poverty, and we've advanced ourselves completely different versus having to witness a fallen empire. We are the catalyst for change.
Who is? We are?
We are.
The United States?
Yes.
What piece?
Well, I'm just saying, if we found it, if there was if we just hit the stop button and we got super analytical and we're like, okay, look, we're going the wrong way. This is where we need to be as a people. Everyone needs to be clothed, sheltered. No one should really be left out of life. We found a harmonious way to work.
Yeah.
I think it would be we would be the catalyst to start it off for the rest of the world.
Yeah. I mean, there's if we put the highest thinking minds in power, which we don't,
right.
As you can see by George Santos of Long Island being elected to the United States Senate. The guy has completely lied about his background, and now it's crazy, and he's still going to be in office, probably, right? Which is nuts. If we put the highest thinking minds, professors, scientists, in places of power instead of lawyers. Jimmy Carter was a peanut farmer. If we put people that actually had the best interests of those people in mind at a broader, at a macro standpoint.
Right.
But that'll never happen because of because of how intrinsic that how intrinsically threaded all of the ideology has been made in people already.
Right.
The political, like, it looks great on paper,
Right.
and it looks amazing to do, but will it ever be done? Unfortunately, like, no. Like you said, I think there has to be some kind of catastrophic event or some kind of world event in which, like,
Brings everyone together. Yeah.
brings everyone together. And like the last time that happened was, like, unfortunately, like World War II.
Yeah.
Like it, or like, even like, because you think, like, even like the Vietnam War, like, that drove everybody apart. Like World War II, like the Great War, people were literally, going to help build planes together.
Yeah.
Now, even now, if we went to a world war, it would be,
Still fighting ourselves.
yeah, because everybody has a platform,
Mm-hmm.
which is great. I'm all for people having the platform, us to speak. We're doing this on a Saturday morning. This
Right.
is amazing.
Yeah.
Just three guys sitting around talking about guitars and pedals, and
we never
really met before,
and,
Yeah.
and the solutions to world peace.
Right.
Yeah. And we're strangers. I mean,
Right.
so for those of you that are watching, this is probably our second or third time meeting Todd via a Zoom that wasn't even related to us. So we have no idea who Todd is.
Right.
But we're trying to prove this point that if you can put your shit aside and just listen to each other, you find out that we can all just pretty much agree on the same thing.
Right.
And we hate being political. That's
Yeah.
not the point of this conversation. But sometimes you just can't avoid it.
Right.
And you have to talk about these.
Don't let this part of life pass you by.
Right.
Like, what keeps us away from talking to other people?
Yeah.
There's just, I don't know. I'm going to still say this. There's a spell being casted over us, and they damn sure don't want us to wake up from it.
Yeah. It's us doing it to ourselves. I keep saying that. You're still thinking in the mind of separation.
Well, I mean, look at all the data we get.
Right. From us. Right. Mm-hmm.
I'll still see it different.
Yeah.
Because I have my own mind.
This guy.
I think it's a little bit of both. If I'm being,
Yeah.
If I can be the
Please.
middle ground here,
Please. That's what we need.
I think
Hey, you better not side with him.
I don't want you to.
I think it's a little bit of both. I think that one of you said something interesting earlier about if there's ever going to be a leak about there being, like, somebody saying something on the Senate floor about,
Right. How
and
they're in full corruption mode.
yeah, if that, it's not going to be from the Senate floor. It's going to be from a dark room.
Right. We know that. I was just, yeah.
No. But like from the sub basement.
Yep.
Right.
From sub basement number 12 of the Pentagon.
Yeah. Yeah.
That where phones
Yeah.
aren't allowed in, but some guy like has a recorder, like, pardon me for being crass, like stuck up his butt or something.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Like, in a microphone, in his nose, like,
Right.
that's how we're going to get it.
Yep.
Right.
Granted, here's the thing. If it hasn't already happened, then that's a shame, but it still could happen. Also, to the other point, ignorance is bliss.
Right.
People still keep getting their paychecks.
Yeah.
People still keep,
Consuming.
consuming.
Right.
I'm all for content. I work in a field that produces content for people, but also, like, people blame content a lot for keeping people in the dark, keeping people ignorant
Right.
for what's out there. Granted, there's a lot of content out there being made, a lot of TikTok stuff, a lot of YouTube stuff. We're on it right now. A lot of just garbage on Facebook, just scrolling videos, whatever. But there's a lot of well-produced content out there who's, yes, people are making money off of it, but I'm of the mindset that like we still as a society need to be made to feel good. Like
Right. Yeah.
we need to smile. We need
Yeah.
to,
Yes.
you know, it's not like the Marlboro Comedy Hour in the 50s where it's like
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
there's a lot of great content that's like that pushes the way people think, like a lot of content that pushes the way people are like laughing, a lot of content that opens up the brain.
Yeah.
It's not just like dancing and singing and stuff like that. There's content is great, and content helps people, yes, forget about their troubles and maybe provides a little bit of like ignorance to the outside world. But it's, my wife calls it doom scrolling, which is
Right.
when you get into
Yeah. You're in that funk and you're in that, yeah.
when you're just like in your just like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my
Yeah.
God.
Down
Yeah.
a rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And then and sometimes you just need to turn on the TV and like
Yeah.
and listen to some content that's not like bad.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know,
unfortunately-
for those that are turn on your Symptoms of Reality TV show.
Yeah.
Open up your damn minds.
Yeah, yeah.
You might learn something.
Yeah.
I am right now.
Yeah.
I mean, we are right now.
Let me ask you this.
There's your thumbnail.
Yeah. Quite literally. Let me add, and by the way, those that scroll a lot, I bet y'all got some strong ass thumbs. I'm never gonna wrestle.
Yeah.
What do you call it? A dooms?
Doom scrolling.
A
Doom scrolling. I mean, we're never gonna thumb wrestle.
We're probably not.
You guys are elite in your field.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. Who taught you to love?
Ooh, man. I come from a very loving family. I hear horror stories from other people about growing up in a strange household. There's never not been a conversation on the phone with my family, any member of my family that's not ended with "I love you." Even with my brother, my dad, my mom, my family taught me how to love. My wife has my family taught me how to love. My wife has showed me what love can be.
It's amazing.
And then who taught you how to hate?
Oof.
Yeah.
I try not to use that word, and I'm not trying to be cliche. That's a true response.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that if I had to put that word to a who or a what, I would say that I would say people that hate.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like there are genuinely evil people in the world.
Mm-hmm.
I do believe that evil exists in the world, and I do not like them. Because if you let hate rule your life, then I could honestly say that I hate you.
Right.
And I've met a lot of, and I don't say a lot of them. I don't just I don't go to hate clubs. Like, I've met some people that are just genuinely bad people, and they hate people, and they make me feel something that's the complete opposite of love. So yeah, then those people,
Right.
if you can hear me,
Yeah. You hear him?
One last question for you, Todd.
We do not like the hate.
We do not. Who are you outside of your name?
What do you mean, man? That is
Like, who are you?
Yeah, we know it's deep.
It's deep, but who are you? Not Todd. We know your name, Todd, but who are you outside of that? What is Todd? Who do you think Todd is? Who are you?
I would say that if I had to, I'm not going to say if I had to describe myself. Let's say I think that I've discovered in the past couple years. Excuse me. I'm gonna get some of my water before I answer.
There you go.
I'm gonna make you guys wait.
Oh
Yeah.
no.
Oh, no.
A question like that always makes someone
Yeah.
go, I need to get to the water.
Right.
I think I've discovered in the past couple of years that there is a part of me that I never really knew existed, and I'm a lot stronger than I thought I could be. I always thought myself to be more of a anxious person, more of a worried person, and I am when it comes to certain things. But I like to send love into the world, and I like to give love back. But I'm just I like every other human being have things that make me anxious and different than everybody else. I'm different. I am Todd Baxley. I'm a different person. I'm different than you. I'm different than you. But that doesn't mean that I can't be approached. Yeah, I am me. I don't know. It's a great question to be asked.
Right.
But to be put on the spot and answered.
Yeah.
Who am I? I am Todd.
Yeah. And I love that answer.
Me too.
Everyone gives a different answer. The reason why we ask these questions on the spot is for the response, because far after this show is over, you will take these questions with you and you will think deeper on these questions. And it is our hopes that you continue to ask these questions to further investigate yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then with that said, every good thing comes to an end as of now for the podcast. But if you want to see more of Tom, I'll tell you what, just put it down in the comments.
Todd.
Did I say Tom?
Yeah.
I was thinking of Tom.
You want to try that again?
If you want to see more of Todd, put it down in the podcast.
Yeah.
Why don't you?
Why don't you?
Todd, it's been good having you on.
Yeah.
Man, we really appreciate the conversation.
Yeah.
The food for thought, opening up my young melon skillet and planting all kind of wisdom in there.
It feels like I've known you for years. Like, even when you tell us your story, that is allowing us to know you for years.
Yeah, very intimate story too.
You know? Yeah.
We appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really appreciate the opportunity to tell that story. A lot of people ask me, why am I so open with my story about recovery? And because I tell it quite a bit, because I hope that somebody that needs to hear it will hear it. Maybe somebody needs that one push, and maybe somebody that's going through the same thing or even something a little bit different just might need to hear that. Okay, it's okay to get some kind of help, or
right.
Okay, somebody out there is feeling just like I do in this instance, and even if it's just going to get a little bit of therapy. Also, I can say this, and I'll end with this: therapy is okay.
Therapy is
getting some
okay.
therapy.
Yeah.
I hope this reaches to the people it needs to reach.
Yeah.
I really do. But I gotta ring this little bell first.
We haven't gotten that far yet. Put your damn hand down.
Oh.
Hey, like the channel
Subscribe.
and ring the damn bell.
Ring the bell, Top. It's just liberating.
You don't have to. You don't have to. The Patreon, guys.
Yes. There you go. Yeah. Feel it, Todd. It's very liberating.
The Patreon.
Oh, the doubles. The doubles.
Jesus.
I've never thought about the doubles.
Stop it.
Okay.
The Patreon is up. Feel free to donate to the cause that help this channel be this channel and stay
Donate.
this channel.
Donate. I'm on board with the donation. Don't think I'm not on board with this donation. But I'm saying. Okay.
Peace out, y'all.